Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet, created by we the people under the auspices of our tax dollars, formerly known as ARPANET, but now controlled by corporations, something that we must mitigate, something that we must get back. Anyway, we have a great program lined up for you today with a lot to discuss. But without further ado, let's go to the geniuses in the studio, El Señor Howard Reynolds and Jack Van Beba.
And good morning, Egberto. It is another fine day at the radio here, happening on Monday, July the 14th, 2025. And I have a slight rant this morning.
All right.
That our wonderful governor, Hot Wheels, has deported or had arrested the Mexican helpers that came in to help on the crisis over in Kerrville.
Oh, I didn't hear that one.
Now, I can't substantiate that. Can't say that. And I'm saying I saw it on Facebook, so it's to be true, right? He had all of them arrested saying they're not authorized to be here. That ICE agents took away the Mexican helpers.
If that is the case, I think that is big news. I hadn't heard that one yet, but I've got to research that one.
Okay. I'll put that out as an unsubstantiated report.
But a mean one.
So that's, what is going on here? I mean, they send people to help. FEMA can't get here because of a signature from Nome. And suddenly, all the folks who are helping are being arrested by ICE. Is that true? Can somebody tell me this? Tell me this is a nightmare that I can't wake from. This is awful. If it is true. I'll give you the caveat.
There you go.
I'll give the caveat. Now, I'm going to do a little research while the show is going on, and we'll find out at the end of the show whether it is true or not, or if I have to apologize for misinformation, which I don't ever want to do. And Jack has some information here called The Wisdom, and he's got almost a full page of it. So let's get to that.
Hey, good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Good morning, my dear brother. Talk to me.
Alligator Alcatraz is an internment camp. Even the lawmakers are horrified by the inhumane conditions. Florida Rep. Maxwell Frost says he saw 6 cages with 32 people per cage, and the people were yelling, "Help me! Help me! Help me!" The cages were in a tent, so I imagine the airflow was restricted, and I imagine the temps are above 95 degrees in the afternoon with above 90% humidity all day long. This internment prison is made to torture and torment its prisoners with cruelty and barbarism. Why is Trump having prisoners tortured? Trump is a sick man, a sick and twisted man.
We know that.
I mean, well,
that's just
I said it. He's sick and twisted.
You know what's really fun, though? They're really hammering him about the Epstein files. And he's trying to avoid saying, oh, no, they don't exist. Yes, they do. Lots of them.
His own people want to see it. But the thing about it is the reason they are not showing it is likely because, he may be incriminated. We don't know. But we'll find. Well, I don't know that we'll ever find out in the next 2 or 3 years, but we'll see. Because Trump, unlike any other president, you remember when it came to I'm going to show my taxes. You need to show your taxes. Never did. I'm going to release my financial information. Never did. So Trump gets away with things that nobody else gets away with, and that is what a certain level of privilege of the wealthy class it'll do for you. And, what can I say? Anyway, anything else, guys, before we move on?
No,
Okay.
no.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get busy. First of all, I have a video, but before I get to the video, I want to make a few statements here. I have everybody. First of all, welcome aboard, Harry Denson from Missouri City, Texas. Joe, how you doing, Joe? Great to have you here again from Los Angeles, California. We love you out there. We also have on our Substack, of course, we missed first few dozen, but welcome aboard MXXF, Shelly Lan, Erlin Hunter, Kat, Nadaki, Garrett Myers. Do you lie? Good morning from Cyprus. Road trip to New Orleans today. I hope you enjoy your road trip to New Orleans. And by the way, I saw a message from you. Thank you for being the latest member of the PDR posse. You're welcome. You're well loved. Thank you so kindly. Eric Speck is in the house. Cheryl Elkins, Johnny Davis. Cheryl Elkins says, happy Monday from Massachusetts. Look, we love every single corner of this country, and we believe in making sure we bring every single corner of this country together. Anyway, guys, I refrain from the hyperbole of using the word Hitler, Auschwitz, or anything like that, because I know what my Jewish brothers and sisters have gone through with the Holocaust. Of course, I've not lived it, but I can empathize with it, just like I can empathize with my forefathers under both the Americas, the United Kingdom, the Portuguese, the French, the Belgian, the Dutch, all of them being former colonizers of America that brought over folks under slavery, etc. I get it. I can empathize with all of that. But I try not to use those things as hyperboles for events that we occur, because nobody's living through the whips. Nobody's living through the carnage. Nobody is living through, as far as we know, the gas chambers. Nobody's living through the slave labor is different. Our prisoners have become the new resource, the new factory workers, etc. But the most galling portions of the Holocaust, the most galling portions of slavery, the most galling portions of let's say the Trail of Tears and what we've done to the indigenous is not an occurrence today. As I said, as a country and as a world of people that have abused other people, we have tried to atone. But we are seeing the reversal of that. And I want people to understand, I brought that up because it's not hyperbole what Maxwell Frost, representative from Florida, Maxwell Smart, saw at Alligator Alcatraz yesterday. It's not at all understandable that we are not in that domain right now. And it is imperative, folks, that we as a people start to do something about this. But I think Howard wants to make a quick correction. So let me go ahead and throw it to my brother in the studio, and then we'll continue with the monologue.
Okay, I do. So far, there's been no rescuers arrested by ICE, but Governor Abbott said in a press conference, I support ICE, and these people are not here. These people are not authorized to be here. So that's the latest. That has not happened yet. We don't know if it's going to happen, but Abbott does say, I support ICE and I support Trump, and these people are not authorized to be here. So now, what does that tell you?
That tells you exactly who they are. Exactly who they are, Howard. And it's not hard to see how folks jump to that conclusion, because it's almost like what do you call the crosshairs are now on these. How dare you show us up? How dare you come across the border to help us when we are trying to tell people you are deplorable?
Oh, yeah. It sort of ruins the image of deplorable, doesn't it?
Exactly. Thank you very much, my dear brother. And by the way, I want our audience to realize we all sometimes go ahead and say something that ain't quite so or whatever. And the one thing you'd always hear at KPFT, the one thing you'd always hear at Politics Done Right is, if we go ahead and say something that needs correcting, we do what again, Howard? All of us.
We correct it.
There you go. And that's what it's all about, because we want you to have trust and faith in what we talk about, who we are. Thank you very much for that, my dear brother Howard. Let me continue with the monologue. So as I mentioned before, I don't want to over dramatize the issue, but the issue now must be placed into the proper context, not only with what the physical nature of the Alligator Alcatraz is, folks. Because what is ironic is that when Hitler, and I don't use Hitler lightly as well, because I don't want to diminish what my brothers and sisters went through in Auschwitz and all the other encampments, the death chambers in Europe, or what my slave brothers and sisters went through in the Americas, in the South Americas, in the Caribbean, and what my native brothers and sisters went through as they were genocided. But we are on the cusp of that with our immigrant communities. And the thing about it is going to hurt us all, not only locally, not only nationally, but internationally. Now, if you take a look at the commentary coming out of the MAGA base, the commentary coming out of our leaders, you hear them speak about they're making caps. We have a president who said, hey, if they try to escape, they'll just be eaten by the alligators. And I mean, we show the despise that we have for humanity. Our MAGA, a lot of our MAGA base, people that are putting these things out there. Do you know how we look outside of the country that preaches democracy, the country that preaches the sanctity of life, the country that preaches humanity? To my evangelical brothers and sisters who are the biggest supporters of Donald Trump, the biggest supporters of ICE by the polls, do you understand how in conflict that is with the religion and the leader of that religion you purport to serve? Do you see that? Can you understand that? When Maxwell Frost came out and gave his speech after giving a tour of Alligator Alcatraz yesterday, you could see the hurt and the pain in understanding how we put human beings through that, drinking from fountains on top of the toilet where they defecate. Yes, I'm using the word. You think about humanity, 32 people in a cage, all of them using 3 toilets, generally one functional. The Congress people that went for that tour yesterday was only allowed to take a peep in, but they couldn't actually go in. The temperature inside, which is supposedly air conditioned in the middle of the Everglades, was at 85 degrees, treating people like animals. We, the United States of America, this is being done in our name. And we have people crying about it. We have people writing, creating memorabilia about our inhumanity and smiling about it. And still, in the other breath, talking about humanity, the sanctity of life, and otherwise. There's an article written by Mary Dungy Fillmore. The fate of detained workers depend on us. The question is going to be, what are you, those of you that are listening, doing to me? Not doing to me, doing to solve, to expose this problem, to let the rest of the world, to let your politician know this is not us. This is a few degenerates that would treat other human beings like that. And if they could treat those other human beings like that, when you get on their bad side, if you speak on their bad side, what is to keep them from treating you like that? After all, they've got their first run. If you go to a killer and ask them what was the most difficult thing they did in life, and they'll say the first time was to kill a person. It was hard. It leaned on them. It hurt them. But after that, it got better and better as they no longer had those restraints within their psyche to stop them. What do you think is going to happen to the psyche of, and what do you think they want to happen to the psyche of America? To normalize stopping random people on the street and saying, well, you have a bit of melanin in you. Are you legal? Do you have your papers? And have the authority to mess with your day as you're going to school, as you're going to church, as you're going to work, to stop you because some one of these ICE criminals, some one of these ICE thugs, some one of these ICE animals discern an accent, discern that your color may give them a higher probability of you being someone here that is undocumented. You're walking in the street. Let's say you're a white person that's from Italy with a little darker hue and a slight tint of ethnicity. You are in your crosshairs. And as one person claimed, I don't remember who it was on one of my blogs, how comes you don't see these raids in Little Russia? How comes you don't see these raids in Little Italy? How comes you don't see these raids? We all know the answer. We all know the answer. We all know the answer of deportation and what the attempt is to do to this country. It's written. It's written. The fears of a true multicultural, no majority nation is something a select few people refuse to believe America should ever become. And in this purging of what they hope to be 1 million people a year, and they hope to get into to maintain their leadership in Congress and in the executive, to continue doing this year after year, purge the color out of this country, purge any possibility of the continued enhancement of a multicultural country that looks like the rest of the world, which because of our nature really should be. I want folks to really think hard about how we look to the rest of the world. I want you to think of the words that we tell the rest of the world about democracy, about humanity. How can we dare speak about these issues when, unlike Hitler, and Hitler was terrible, but at least Hitler did it quietly because it showed that he had some shame in what he was doing. He didn't want the German population at large to realize the inhumanity, the criminality of what they were doing to our Jewish brothers and sisters. But the Trump administration and the MAGA base are doing it with gusto, with the support of our evangelical Christians who seem to have forgotten what the good book has said that Jesus represents, that Jesus wants. Whether you are Christian or not, whether you are religious or not, to treat another human being as the ICE thugs, the ICE criminals, the ICE animals are treating other human beings. To be the leader of the administration that is capable of doing this to other human beings should scare every single American into action. Because while they're going after melanated, undocumented workers at this point in time, your time may be coming as an activist, as someone who complains about the Epstein papers, as someone who has a slight disagreement with Stephen Miller, as some once the killing has begun. Now that the killing, I shouldn't say once the killing has begun, now that the killing has begun, already several folks interned have been killed. Once it becomes more standard modus operandi, once it's no longer shocking, the next one they're coming for is you. So as Mary Dungy Fillmore says, the fate of detained workers depend on us. Only by making it politically and socially acceptable and ultimately illegal to hunt for undocumented people and treat them inhumanely can we really change the situation. For everyone who cares about migrant justice, leaders Ignacio Nacho de la Cruz and his 18-year-old stepdaughter, Heidi Perez, it's great news that the Immigration Court has ordered Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, to release them at least for now. Well, more than 100 people protested outside Burlington, Vermont's Federal District Court for a rally and moving speakers both Monday and Tuesday, and just as many had shown up at the State House a few weeks before to demand their release. The courtroom itself was also packed for habeas corpus hearing for Heidi, which is probably irrelevant given her upcoming release. But she and her stepfather are still vulnerable to deportation, which means also internment. We have got to wake up. We have got to step up. We cannot allow the evil of a few to reflect of the benevolence, the humanity of most of us. We have got to ensure that doesn't occur. Let's go to John from Cyprus.
Good morning, Alberto.
Buenos días, hermanos. ¿Cómo estás?
I'm confused, man. I hear all these stories, and I hear what you just said, and it's very important. And I just read the story on how the Democrats can't get together on Mandini for some reason. I look at it, and I ask a question. What's the penalty for intentionally violating the U.S. Constitution? What is that penalty? Because it's happening everywhere, and all we're getting from the administration is photo ops. They had a photo op here in Texas. You've seen them line up to take pictures with the president. You've seen the people in Alligator, whatever it's called, do the same thing, photo op.
Right.
And I guess people don't. And I read some of the comments on some of these stories. And it's horrible. But I get back to this. How can we fight it if the Democrats can't get together under these circumstances?
John, let me answer your question. Okay? And you pointed out the most important thing there. The fact that the New York Democratic leadership and many in the DNC cannot outrightly come in support of Mamdani, somebody that has opened up the doors to get into people that haven't voted in decades, have never voted, but now feel that there is somebody that's going to listen to them and not just listen to corporations. The fact that the Democratic leadership have not done that yet. They'll likely be forced to do it, but the fact that they cannot do it says one thing. First of all, they're out of touch. But it's not anything that we hadn't known. They're out of touch. Hakeem Jeffries is out of touch, and he's owned. El Señor Schumer, the head of the Democratic head in Senate, is out of touch. But we knew these guys were out of touch guys like Ro Khanna and others are now picking up. And I need to find out if Ro Khanna endorsed Mamdani or not. If he hasn't, he'll be in my bad book as well. But the fact that these guys have not, endorsed this guy that is currently leading the race in New York by at least 10 points, showing that he knows how to win, shows that the party has become deprived, and the people that they need to be fighting, as you said, John, the people they need to be fighting, like the president of the United States, like the others, like they should be on TV every single day. They should be on TV every single day, slapping virtually the president and others in. It is sad. Welcome aboard, Gayla Kunis from Evans, Georgia. Thank you for being here. And John A. It is shameful that we're not already there, John. Continue before I go to the second John. And by the way, folks, the telephone number is 281-82. Hold on, John. The telephone number is 281-823-7747. Once again, I'm sorry. What's wrong with me? I forget which time slot I'm on. I gave you the wrong number. Sorry about that. Let me put it the right one on the screen as well. The number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Continua, mi amigo.
Dan Goldman said it this morning, and he's the only person that I see said anything about the headlines. And it should have been what Holman said this weekend, which is a blatantly false. It violates the Constitution. And I don't see the Democrats uniting behind something like that. What the man said is Nazi. It is Nazi to tell me that these people don't deserve due process, that they can be racially profiled. That's wrong. And a cause like that ought to unite every Democrat and bring everybody together. But you know what? They still don't like AOC. They still don't like Jasmine Crockett, and they don't like David Hogg. Why? Because they're young people coming in saying, hey, we need a change within our own party first, and then we can fight.
You know what? And that is so true. And I tell you what, as we write more, as we demand more, that's going to happen. But the fact is this: I want them out of there. Okay. In other words, everybody talking about the Democrats taking the House back and Hakeem Jeffries being the speaker. I don't think Hakeem Jeffrey has earned the speakership at all. I don't. And likewise, Schumer remaining the Senate leader. He has not earned to remain the Senate leader. I want somebody in there with spine, who's willing to stand up for the humanity of all, who's not going to be tempering their message with what their corporate givers or corporate donors are attempting to do. So, El Señor Juan, John, we've got to go to the other John. Anything else real quick to close her out?
Just thank you for listening to me, because that's the only thing we have left. And I know you people are under attack from the same administration. I know PBS and NPR are under attack, and I'm going to try to support y'all as much as I can. Thank you.
Thank you so kindly, my dear brother. All right, let's go to John from Minneapolis. John from Minneapolis. All the Johns are calling in today. Where are the Susans and the Leahs and the ladies? I'd love to hear your voices, beautiful ladies. We have the beautiful men calling in. We want the beautiful ladies as well. But beautiful men continue to call in as well. John, come on in.
Yeah, I mean, on other programs and people that I'm associated with who are politicians I've talked to, and yes, the Democratic Party is its, own worst friend, let's put it nicely, and they literally destroy any populism and the kinds of things that people want. But I think that ranked choice voting really worked well for Mamdani. And, I think that really helped him a lot to win. But yes, people want social democracy. And social democracy is the way that countries in, like, for instance, in Scandinavia and most of Europe. That's how they run their democracy, and people are quite happy and satisfied. I just recently watched it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, John, I want to interrupt you to make one thing clear, okay? Because you mentioned about ranked choice voting helped Mamdani. I want to qualify something. The ranked choice voting made the election less expensive for New York. It didn't help Mamdani. Mamdani, and the reason I want to correct that is people may start to believe that, oh my God, ranked choice voting is something that can make people that otherwise wouldn't get elected get elected. No, Mamdani won.
That's not what I meant to.
Sir, I know, my brother. I know. Trust me. I know you. I know what you meant, but I wanted to clarify that for people who would take the words differently.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Now let me finish, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Mamdani would have won irrespective of ranked choice voting. He would just have gone to a runoff with the guy that came in second, and he would have won him by leaps and bounds in a second election, which would have cost New York a whole lot. So it's important, folks, to understand this. Mamdani expanded the electorate, and that electorate expansion would have brought him to a landslide. What ranked choice voting did was eliminate the need for having a second election by doing it all at once. Continue, my dear brother, John.
Yeah, and I just want to say I'm originally from New York. I mean, you talk about corruption. That's one of the worst Democratic parties, I would say, in the country, compared to even, I live here in Minnesota, and it's not nearly as bad as that. And we have had a lot of, I would say, social democrats or progressives, people like Paul Wellstone, etc., who have won. And Bernie Sanders won here the first time by 12%, and I think the second time by 8% in the primaries. So the manipulation by very powerful, wealthy people, it does us no favor. And what happens is, as you said, Mamdani would have won anyway because he offered things that people wanted, and he pulled in voters that probably, were not inspired to vote. There's 100 million people that just don't vote. They're so discouraged. And, I mean, you look at how it's done in the rest of the world, and their societies are healthier, they're happier, they have a better consensus, even though they also can be quite diverse. And everybody has a say. And I was going to pull up the example of the Netherlands. And, modern Netherlands is interesting how they can provide all of these social benefits to most of their population. I mean, did you know, I just found this out recently, they get 4 weeks vacation, but they also get a month worth of salary to spend on their vacation. How can they, provide those kind of benefits? Because they redistribute income. Everybody is considered a participant in creating the wealth of the country instead of just a handful of people. They don't believe in trickle down. We're the ones living in a little gated community, and they have a lock on our minds because the rest of the world doesn't want to do it this way. And
John,
when J.D. went to Europe,
John, I get that.
How they should. I mean, can you imagine?
I need to expand on something that you said, because I listened to what you guys are saying, and there's something that need expansion on what you just said to all the listeners out there. When John said that the countries in Europe believe in a different model of redistribution, which many like to call socialism here in the States, let me point out something that is very important for all of us to understand. John is partially wrong correctly. Let me explain what I mean. He says they redistribute. We haven't understood the model of redistribution. That's not quite how it works here in the United States. In the United States, we do redistribute. We redistribute the wealth of the poor, right, and the wealth of the middle class right up to the wealthy. And let me explain. This is not hyperbole, or this is not me just saying that to be to have a sound bite. The physical way in which we do it is well known. And let me explain. One, and this, I need to expand on this, John, because as we get these concepts, I want people to understand it within their core so that they can put it out there to others. Let's go this way. Most of our oil, or a lot of our oil and our mineral resources and our rare earth, etc., come from lands designated as public lands, meaning owned by all of us. Owned by all of us. Mm-hmm. When the companies exploit those natural resources, sometimes they pay us a royalty for that. But here's the kicker: they also have a tax break. They normally get called, in some form or the other, a depletion allowance. In other words, we are giving them a tax break for taking out material that belongs to all of us. They get a tax break for saying, since we've taken out the oil, since we've taken out the material, there's less of that material there. So we get a tax break called, I don't know if they're still doing it, but it used to be called the depletion allowance. But above and beyond that, we are also not reaping the profits that they make on these natural resources that all of us own. That is redistribution, but that is done in a way that you don't necessarily feel. Another way of redistribution is the following. We give a tax cut as the big bad bill gave. A big tax cut. In other words, we take monies that we would have normally given for Medicaid and SNAP, etc., and that money is used to offset the tax cuts for wealthy people. So they pay less into the treasury. And because we gave that tax cut, my dear brothers and sisters, it means we have deficit spending. And how do we solve the deficit spending? We borrow money. And who do we borrow the money from? We borrow the money from the people who have it. And who have it? The people, the wealthy people we gave the tax break to. So they loan us back our money. And for loaning us back our money, we then pay them every month a stipend known as interest. So more money transferred from all of us to the few. That's how we handle redistribution in our country. And I can name many other forms in which we redistribute from all of us to the many. The sad part about it, Brother John, is that most Americans, whenever we try to correct for those problems with policies like basic income, with policies like child care, with policies like health care, the wealthy then scream socialism. They taught Americans to fear that word so badly that simply providing service becomes socialism. And because it's now called socialism, they then hate it and continue to vote against their own interests and not support policies that support us all. America, if you don't understand what I just said, call and teach me to say it better. But what I'm saying is what John points out, we redistribute, but we redistribute from you to the wealthy. Finish up for me, John. I got to go to Bruce.
Yeah. Can I just say one more thing? I mean, I know you're an entrepreneur. You had been an entrepreneur.
Yes, I am. I still am, but go ahead.
There's far more entrepreneurship in countries where healthcare is given, where people have time to develop new products, etc. It challenges people to be creative. They all participate. They're not, despondent. They're happy. Happier people create more. That's why Denmark, a little country, Netherlands is not really that much bigger. why they're able to do that. And yes, Norway has basically made the oil in the North Sea every Norwegian's oil. So they didn't give it to Shell, or they didn't give it to, one company to develop. It was developed for the good of the entire country. We should do that here.
Exactly. You're right. I got to go, John, but thank you so kindly for that. And thank you for your insights that you give every time that you call. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Before I go to Bruce, I want to mention something that John said, because he talks about if people had health care, they would be able to be more innovative. But at the same time, people would also say, how did America become the most innovative country, right? Let me just back up a second to the most innovative country. In the short amount of time that the Chinese Revolution has started with adapting certain types of policies, if you take a look at where they are in AI and many other scientific areas, they're catching us pretty damn fast, and we're doing little to stay ahead. But why is it that we had been so successful over the years in being able to develop things? It's not the private sector that did that. It's you, everybody that's listening to me right now. Absolutely all of you that are listening to me right now that paid your taxes. Our government played instrumental roles with the NIH, with other, with the Apollo project, with the Skylab project, with all these other projects. They invested in technology. And after that technology, after all the kinks were gotten out of these technologies, after the risk that they like to say corporations take risk, corporations don't take risk. After the government, through NASA, through the NIH, and all these other government programs paid for by you, universities, etc., after they have taken out the risky part of scientific development, then the corporations say, that could work. And then they take it on. Corporations do not take risk, nor do they lose money. Because, by the way, when they take a project and it fails, guess what happens over years? They write off the failure. You can't write off your failures, but corporations write off their failures. So when they tell you things like they have to make excessive profits to ensure continued innovation, it's a lie. Because even their failures are written off. Don't listen to me. Look it up. Anyway, let's go to Bruce.
Good morning.
You're on, Bruce.
Yes. Friday when I called with one of the things that was bothering me, a caller called in after me and said, just turn the TV off. I have a T-shirt with an Aldous Huxley quote that says, facts do not cease to exist because they are ignored. And I know the MAGA way is just don't look at the facts. Just don't look at them. I'm not sticking my head in the sand. I had about three things to say. My senior memory's forgotten the third one. The second one is the Epstein files. I knew the day that Pam Bondi said they were on her desk that we'd never see them because, and Trump probably chewed her out in person, all right, because to him, if there is anybody important on there, hey, this is a tool to extort. It's a treasure trove to extort favors from people, and he would use it for that. The last point I'll make, well, I don't remember the real one I had, the third one, but the last point I'll make is when it comes to those thugs in the street, and this would only make a tiny bit of difference, but if you're a small business owner, you know, those thugs, their wives probably didn't pack their lunch. They're going to go somewhere to get a burger or a soda. If you see them coming to your front door, turn your open sign around to close. I'm sorry to close early today. That's one thing you could do. And I wish I could remember the third thing I had, but
well, if you no problem. Let me tell you, I get my senior moments all of the times, and I don't like to consider myself a senior. So let me just say one thing that I think is so important that you said, and I agree with you. We have to make those doing evil personas non gratas. What that means is we have to make life just like they make lives of others miserable. we need to make their lives miserable. We can't do them harm. It's not good to go out or shoot them and all of that. Do not do that. So that's what the president would love you to do. The president would love you to start attacking these ICE thugs. He would love you to do that because it would give him an excuse to militarize even further. But what you can do is you can do the things. If you are an ICE agent, make life difficult for them to exist socially. Everybody wants to live within a social carpet. Make life miserable for them socially, because they shouldn't be wanting to have a job with that level of evil attached to it. And then at the next election cycle, you know what you've got to do. Thank you very much for calling in, Bruce. Do you have a quick joke that you normally end with today?
This morning my senior memory's acting up. I could probably come up with one, but it would be really stupid. So you guys have a great day. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, my brother. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Let's go to Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Yes. Good morning. What type of engineer are you? Chemical, mechanical, electrical?
I am a mechanical engineer, and I'm also a software engineer with quite a. Well, go ahead. Why do you want to know?
No, because the first time I called in many years ago, I tried to oppose what you said about Governor Abbott and the turbines freezing.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, stop right there before you embarrass yourself. I am an engineer.
Exactly. Because you did embarrass yourself.
No, I did not.
All right. Tell me what you want to say, my dear. Tell me what you want to say.
I tried to prove to you that the University of Texas at Austin backed up what Governor Abbott said, that the turbines failed due to grease, lack of grease. You said that he lied. And I tried to call in the next time, and
Brian, I don't know what. Look, Brian. Let me tell you. There are turbines that failed. I never denied that. What you lied about is that somehow the freeze, and again, this is how you guys mix metaphors. The reason why the grid failed had nothing to do with the failure of turbines relative to the failure of the gas turbines. What really caused the grid to go down was the failure of the gas turbines, something that the governor lied about, and I said it. Now, when it came to engineering, etc., my point was that, again, failures occur. Not having grease, failures occur. But that's a standard. But look, I'm not going to sit down and have silly arguments, so let me go to Patrick. Come on in, Brother Patrick.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine, sir.
It's been my goal over the last week to discuss straw man arguments, and I think you know why. But I'm going to put that off until tomorrow. I just wanted to point out, unless I have a very mistaken on how I analyze things. Rich people do like socialism, and they participate in it all the time. The reason why I say that is tax deductions are socializing the cost of business.
I mean, you're absolutely right. And that's why, if you remember earlier when Brother John called and he said that other countries redistribute, I wanted to, redistribution is also as a part of what some would want to call socialism. And what we do is a adverse form of socialism, exactly as you were just saying, which is the wealthy is one of the biggest beneficiaries of socialism, but the one that takes the money away from the wealthy and the poor and give it to them. Continue, brother.
That was pretty much the only point I wanted to make, is that we're fine with giving people that do no labor most of socialized treasuries, but if it comes to somebody that needs it, we'll let them starve, or we'll just throw them in a cage.
And you know what? It's so funny. I'm glad you said that, because you kind of tickled my tongue a bit. Think about how quickly we are able to come up with these detention centers, and we can't house our veterans that are on the street. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of people are pointing that out too, rightfully so. People that have protected us and helped us.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll turn our backs on them, but we'll spend a bunch of money to hurt somebody.
Patrick, let me salute some of the commentary on the chat that I think needs to be addressed. So thank you for calling in, my brother. I wanted it says and Elizabeth, thank you, brother. And Elizabeth Drew says, go out and protest outside your homes, protest outside the country clubs. She also says, and Elizabeth Drew says, our grid never goes down, and 50% of our electricity is wind generated in Europe. John A. saying, new exciting news out about what wave turbines. I read that in the ocean, showing strong initial reliability. And because water is so dense, water current is on a per square inch on a rotor or on a blade is so much more powerful than wind, believe it or not. But again, there's still a few things that they have to get over as far as what it's going to do with beach erosion, etc. We also have Mary Bomer says if we had a universal healthcare, things would be a lot different. To free that need to get healthcare would be amazing. We have Lita Bearcat says Netherlands population is 18 millions. BS, America is 350. Again, my dear brother, that is a false argument that's always used. Scaling, we always talk about the best, that as you have more people, you scale better. But somehow, when it comes to taking care of people, we don't want to establish that we scale. And you can use larger populations and see when scaling is done, it actually becomes much more efficient. But again, when you buy into right-wing terminology and methodologies, you get into trouble. Billy Irwin from Somerville, thank you for being here. And Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia, thank you for being here and for all of your good commentaries. Let's go to Johnny. Johnny, I'm going to have to restrict you to 1 minute, sir.
No problem. I'm used to it because why? I'm surrounded by Republicans where I live. So that was an excellent point by Patrick about tax deductions. This is the genius of Republicans when you think about it, or the oligarchs, I should say, because Republicans are just the manifestation, the representatives of the oligarchy. So they hide things in plain sight. And you don't even see it no more. It becomes like wallpaper. You don't notice your wallpaper until you have somebody over to your house who's famous. Then all of a sudden you notice all the blemishes in the wallpaper. And now you're busy scrubbing and cleaning it before they arrive. It's pointless. But that's not why I called. How about this? How about everybody, when you show up in public to protest, if you're a guy, have a beard on or put on a false beard, wear a cross around your chest, and wear sandals, and maybe if you've got one of those white...
I love that. In other words, we get a lot of mini Jesuses out there.
That's right, because the visual of soldiers acting on behalf of Donald, shooting at Jesus, and Jesus showing red blood coming out, that he cannot spin that. I would love to see Donald and the MAGA spin that, because they claim they own Jesus.
Johnny, I love the idea. I got to let you go so Jimmy can finish out the show, okay? But thank you for that. And I'm already looking at those visuals. Thank you, brother. Let's go to Jimmy. Come on in, Jimmy.
Yeah, I'm going to complain about President Trump putting tariffs, 30% tariffs on all of the European Union and Mexico. Where does he get off thinking he can penalize the entire European Union? Is pretty crazy. And Netanyahu comes over here and says he's nominating Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. That's pretty crazy also. I think Netanyahu is just trying to kiss Trump's butt.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm also upset with the people in Gaza. They're starving over there. They go to line up for food, and they're being shot at by Israeli soldiers. That's totally crazy and cruel and sadistic. That needs to stop. Netanyahu should not be allowing that to happen.
No, absolutely not. And when it comes to, I forgot the first topic that you came in that I wanted to do. Then now I'm having my memory lapse. But anyway, thank you very much, Jimmy, and for calling in and making those statements, my brother.
Good deal. Keep up the good week. Have a good show.
Thank you, my brother. You take care. All right, let me pass it on to the studio to close out.
Oh, nothing here. But I was just wondering, since Donald Trump is threatening to revoke citizenship of certain people. I just wonder, we have a caller who is married to an immigrant and is legal. What's going to happen when that caller's wife has her citizenship revoked? So
Well,
that's something to
it's not even only that, right? We're not going to call names, but this friend of ours is married to a Chinese woman, a woman of color. I am a Black Latino Caribbean man, a guy of color. Okay. I've been thinking twice before going anywhere to leave the country, right? I still have a slight accent. Some people think a big accent. I still have an accent. And what if one of these ICE agents hear me speaking? Are they going to throw me against the wall to make a point? What if they know that I talk a whole lot of anti stuff against the right? Are they going to take it out on me? I don't know. But I mean, anybody that has ethnicity in their families right now are officially concerned, because that is what Trump is driving. An ethnic look in the way ICE is attacking people, because there's a higher probability they feel that they'll find undocumented folks, and they don't really care about Little Italy and these other places, because these people have the right hue. But anyway, folks, we got to get out of here. I want to thank everybody for being here. The callers, the chatters, the listeners. You guys are wonderful. I love you all. The rest of the show is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, that is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. You can write me directly at kpft@politicsdoneright.com. kpft@politicsdoneright.com. I answer all my emails. I get a whole lot every now and then. It may take a day or a week, but you'll get to hear from me no matter what. I love you all. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willis. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willis. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.